Shani Or Saneeswara, astrologer Aditya Guruji. I had explained in the previous article that a natural malefic like Shani should not gain strength directly. To put it more precisely, if any of the malefic planets in a horoscope gains direct strengthening by way of placement in own house or in exaltation, then they do not give good results to the native. If the malefic planets get strengthened by way of placement in own house or in exaltation, then they should be aspected by benefic planets or should occupy hidden or evil houses. Only in such a configuration would they give good results during their dasa. Amongst the 6 different measures, viz. Sthana Bala, positional strength; Digbala, directional strength; Drikbala, aspectual strength; Kala Bala, strength from time; Ayana Bala, seasonal strength; and Chsta Bala, strength from movement, prescribed by our sages to estimate the strength of the planets. Between Sthana Bala and Digbala, it has been indicated that Digbala is exclusively meant for assessing the malefic planets. Amongst these 2 measures of strengths, it is preferable for a malefic planet to attain Digbala over Sthana Bala. At the same time, it is not a favorable configuration for Shani and Mangal to attain both Sthana Bala and Digbala. Favorable results could be expected from Shani and Mangal only when they lose the Sthana Bala completely and gain in Digbala. Losing Sthana Bala would mean that the planet would be devoid of bestowing his significations or character. Considering the descending order of strength of a planet from placement in exaltation, Mool Trikona house, own house, friendly house, equal house, inimical house to debilitation, a planet in exaltation would completely transmit his character to the native. This means that progressively from being in Mool Trikona house to own house placement to friendly house placement, the planet would be gradually losing its ability to bestow his character, and ultimately when at debilitation it would lose the ability to give his significations altogether and become totally non-functional. Shani is a natural malefic. It is only destined to give debts, disease, poverty, physical impairment, dwelling in dirty areas and physical labor to the natives. When Shani is exalted without subadhuva, beneficence, or sukshma, intricate, strength, he would function in all the ways as indicated earlier. He would only give debt, disease and poverty to the native. When he loses his Sthana Bala and is in debilitation, then he is incapable of bestowing his significations to the native. This means that he is incapable of giving debt, disease and poverty to the native. Only in such a configuration, when his bad significations cannot be passed on, filtering out of his bad character and also gets associated with benefics like Guru, can Shani become favorable. Even then he would do good only through his evil significations. When in a horoscope Shani attains exaltation and retrogression simultaneously along with aspect from Guru, or when in debilitation and is with association of a benefic, then he would make one very wealthy through his career-related significations. At the same time, an exalted Shani without contact in any form from benefics would make the native earn a meager living by being a rickshaw puller or one who carries loads and counting his pennies. Another important attribute of Shani is that he is a dispassionate judge. He is the only planet with the authority to punish human beings as per their providences. Unlike that for the other planets, Shani has some special procedures for worship and remedies that have been prescribed by our divine sages and siddhas. But over the period of time, we are completely doing the opposite due to lack of understanding. Pointedly, our sages have suggested to not standing in front of sanctum while worshipping Shani, but without taking cognizance of the same, we are worshipping Shani by standing on to the side. In this same greatest religion of the world, Hinduism, that prescribes the noble form of worshipping the god by standing in front with a bare chest without shirt. The advice of our sages not to stand in front of a planetary god should only be inferred as please do not worship Shani. Why do we worship a planet? It is towards expectation that the planet blesses us with our requirement with whatever is in his possession. Likewise, as Guru is the significator of wealth and progeny, worshipping Guru is with an expectation that he would bless us with wealth and children. If Shukra is worshipped, then he would bestow good vehicle and wife that are in his control. Worship of Chandra ensures mental strength and well-being of mother. Gaining intellect is certain by holding on to Buddha. Surrendering even to Mangal would bestow bravery and support from siblings. But what would you get by worshipping Shani? What does he hold that could be passed on to you? What is he destined to give to human beings praying to him? Isn't debt, disease, poverty, physical impairment apart from longevity are the only things available with him? Isn't he the significator for longevity? That is why our sages have asked not to stand in front of Shani. Even in this mobile era, are we more knowledgeable in the spiritual matters than our ancestors? Why did our forefathers, who taught us to keep the pictures of all gods for worship, have not asked us to worship the picture of Shani in the house? Why have they advised us to not bring home the prasad, offerings, or anything related to Shani? Nowadays there is a propaganda going on suggesting to carry the prasad, offering, of Shani to residences. Pictures of Shani are also available. Okay, if not to be worshipped, why have the temples been built? Why are certain temples having separate sanctums for Shani? An octogenarian old man wants to witness the wedding of his granddaughter. These sanctums of Shani have come into being for the sake of extending the lifespan. That old person holding a stick and shivering to seek, give me a year more of lifespan to witness the marriage of my darling granddaughter, further to which I would happily proceed to reach the holy feet of God, or seeking to extend the lifespan of a youngster on the deathbed after a tragic accident with a pregnant wife beside, or to beg for life for a newborn that has a congenital hole in the heart. These are meant for seeking longevity and not for seeking luck. In the temple history of Thyrolu, it has been told that Emperor Nala visited the temple after 7½ Saraswati, Shani period, took a holy dip in the temple pond and prayed to God Darbar and Iswara. A disturbing fact has to be certainly mentioned here. All the planets are inclusive within the principal ancients of Iswara, Almighty. In our revered religion, all the 9 planets are only servants of Lord Shiva. The punishment to our sins is assigned by Lord Shiva through his foot to be executed by the 9 planets through their head. None of the planets are gods. To explain this concept, our sages have assigned an Adhidevata, governing order gods, to each of the planets to differentiate them from the gods. But unfortunately in the recent era, worship of the main Vedic deity of the temple is neglected, and instead the sanctums of planets have assumed prominence. I had recently been to a Navagrahastalam, temple of one of the 9 planets, near Kumbakonam. I witnessed the sanctum of the planet was crowded without any space, while the sanctum of the main deity of the temple was devoid of any rituals. I sat down in front of the sanctum of the main deity and prayed with my family peacefully for about an hour. Where are we going? We are deviating from the noble methodologies of worship preached by our divine sages and ancestors, and are getting influenced by unethical forms of worship. Even today, I advise my customers to first worship the main deity in any temple as per procedure, and subsequently move to the sanctums of the planets for performing remedial rituals. Why Shani is alone referred with an Iswara title. An unrealistic story that God has bestowed the Iswara title to Shani is doing rounds only in Tamil Nadu. This is completely wrong. In India, our country, where a same tradition is followed right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, the gods have been referred with the same names all over. In some places as per the dialect the names might get modified a bit, but the meaning remains the same, as Murugu, in a sense as beauty, in Tamil. Murugan in Tamil Nadu would be referred to Karthikeya in northern state, that's all. But, Shani alone is celebrated with an additional title and is called as Saneeswara. In northern states he is either Shani Dev or Shani Mahatma or Shani Bhagwan only, never Saneeswara. In our great Hinduism there is one and only Almighty, Iswara, the ultimate God. He is almighty and creator of crores of planets like Shani. He alone deserves to adorn this title. None of his creations can have this. How did this title of Iswara enter Tamil, our divine language? Sanskrit refers to Shani as Saneeswara. This means that he moves slowly. In any temple, if one observes carefully, the learned Brahmin priests would only utter Saneeswara Swami while reciting the hymns of Shani. This has been accustomed to become Saneeswara Swami in due course of time, and the story that he alone holds the title of Iswara among the planets is a baseless and interleaved story. To address Shani as Saneeswara would only increase one's dosha, sins, and would not do any favors.